Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Missy and today we are going to be making easy apple cider donuts. And these are fried donuts, not baked in the oven donuts. And this is going to be my first collab with Moss Family TV for Fall Food Fridays, which is super exciting. I love fall. I am kind of over all of the summer grilled vegetables and grilled chicken, and I'm ready for like really hearty fall casseroles and desserts and things. So one of my favorite things to do around this time is to go apple picking. I don't know if we're actually going to go apple picking this year because we have so much going on, but usually when you go to the orchards around here in Virginia, they have apple cider donuts. So I'm going to go ahead and make some today. We made French fries about 2 weeks ago, so I have some oil that needs to be used. I like to use my oil like maybe 2 or 3 times depending on what we're doing. So this donut recipe does not have any yeast in it. So the recipe calls it easy, and I think it's easier than a yeasted donut. There's a lot less steps. It's a lot more forgiving. So this is actually the evening before. I'm gonna have the donuts tomorrow morning on Sunday. So tonight we're gonna make the dough. We're gonna stick it in the fridge, and then tomorrow we'll be able to roll it out really quickly and then fry it up. And traditionally, apple cider donuts have a cinnamon sugar on the outside. The recipe actually shows you how to do that. I'm going to change it just a little bit because I usually always do, and I'm going to do a glaze. I think I'm just gonna do a vanilla glaze. That's what me and baby are jonesing for. I was jonesing for a glazed cake donut. I also noticed that the yeasted donuts, I feel like they don't last as long. Like they're good right when you fry them, and then they kind of just don't taste as good. But the cake donuts will kind of last a day or two, I feel like. And there's only so many donuts we can eat. Let me flip you around. Let's get the dough ready, and then we'll come back tomorrow and fry them. Okay, so my husband ran to go get some pizzas for dinner because I just did not feel like cooking. I went ahead and melted some butter already on the stove because I want this to cool, and I am going to put my melted butter in this bigger jug here for it to cool. And we'll set that off to the side. And then what we're gonna go ahead and reduce is some apple cider. This is just from Target, and usually I get it from farm stands, but this is actually pretty good. So I need 2 cups of this, and what I'm gonna do, instead of having to dirty another measuring cups here, I'm using my 1 cup measure. So obviously I'll just do this twice. So here's 1 cup, and there's still a little butter in there, that's totally fine. The recipe calls for you to boil and boil and boil your apple cider and reduce it by half. So that's why I kept the 1 cup measure. So I got this trick from, I think, America's Test Kitchen. When you think it's about there, I'm gonna pour it back in this measuring cup, and once it measures a cup, I know I'm good. So I'm just gonna get this on high just to kind of get it to a rolling boil. I'll probably grab a little spatula too, just to make sure the bottom doesn't burn. And then I'll just boil the heck out of this. And then once we get to a cup here, then I will just let these both cool completely. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and get my dry ingredients ready to go. So then after dinner, I'll just combine the two, and then it'll go in the fridge overnight. So I have a nice big bowl here. I don't know if you can hear Paul, but he's watching Blippi, and there's an excavator, which is like his favorite thing. So this is all-purpose flour, and here is 1, 2, 3 and a half cups of flour. Next up is some brown sugar, and that's 1/3, 2/3. And then I'm just gonna put my baking soda and baking powder in this little guy because mine are always so lumpy. So this is 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. So let me just sift those. I think it's my baking soda is the culprit that's clumpy. And then it says 1/4 teaspoon, slow this down, of cardamom, which I do not have, but I do have everything else. So we're gonna do 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. So the cinnamon, I'm just gonna eyeball. I feel like you can be a little more generous with cinnamon, in my personal opinion. I love cinnamon. I'll just do 1/4 teaspoon of the other 2. I bet you could probably cheat and use, I know McCormick has a apple pie spice blend. I bet you that would work too. That is it for my dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get this ready to go. And then I'm gonna keep checking on this apple cider, wait till it reduces by half, let it completely cool, and then after dinner, I'm gonna combine that with the butter, 2 eggs, and then add that to here, and I'll show you what that looks like. And we'll get it ready for its overnight chill in the refrigerator. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes total, and I think we're there. just a little below 1 cup, but that's perfect. I'll take that. So this is really hot. I'm gonna let this cool. I'm gonna let my butter cool. And then after dinner, we should be able to combine everything. Okay, so there is a little bit of dry flour at the bottom here, but as you can see, my butter had kind of gotten a little bit hard again. So if it had been more liquid, it probably would have been dissolved. But I'm not really gonna worry about it. I'm gonna wrap this in plastic wrap. I'm pretty sure this will hydrate overnight. If not, tomorrow when I roll it out and I'll knead it a little bit and get it all in there. So this is going to go to bed in my fridge and we'll be back in the morning. Good morning, it is the next day. We're gonna make donuts. I figured I'd just run down here and explain what I'm doing because Matt's home, the baby's up, Mo is prancing around. It's gonna get really loud in here. So I'm gonna have my big cast iron enamel Dutch oven pot. That's what I always used to fry and it just makes me feel safe. I'm like a novice at frying, so I feel like if it bubbles over, which I've never had happen, it's safe in that pot. And I'm going to heat my oil to 325. I'll cut out my donuts. I do have biscuit cutters that are about 2 inches wide and then a little one that's about 1 inch wide or so. But I have used a mason jar, and you can use a bottle cap for the hole, or you can even just use a knife to cut out the hole. And then I'm going to lay the cut ones on a piece of parchment with flour so they don't stick. Then once my oil reaches temp, I will use a spatula to slide them into the oil. I find when I lift them up, they got kind of distorted looking, so I just use the spatula to slide them in. We're going to cook them for 2 to 3 minutes till they get nice and golden. Flip them, and I use the spatula and my little spider thing, or you can use a slotted spoon to kind of help flip them over a little bit. Cook them for another 2 to 3 minutes. Then I'll move them onto a rack with a cookie sheet with a rack and a paper towel to catch any of the oil that drips off, and let them sit for just a minute till I can handle them. And then I'm going to dunk them in a glaze. And my glaze, I'm eyeballing it, so I'll make sure I try to get measurements down and I'll list it below because the recipe talks about doing a cinnamon sugar, which is also delicious. But if you want to do a glaze, I'll leave the recipe below. It's just powdered sugar. I'm using almond milk because I don't have cow milk right now. A little bit of salt and vanilla, that's it. And then I just basically make it to the consistency I want. And I want to dip the donuts when they're warm, and then I will put them back on the cookie sheet with the rack, but I'll pull the paper towel out because otherwise they stick to the paper towel. And then you can enjoy those immediately. And I'm just going to repeat that process until they're all done, and I'll show you what they look like. absolutely delicious. I've had a couple of the donut holes. This is how they look when they're done. And if I pull one apart, they're very cakey, very dense. I could probably just eat just one. They're very filling. They're very good. Paul really liked them. I had a couple holes I did not put frosting on. And he's bringing me his plate right now because he wants more. So these are definitely going in my recipe box. Kind of a pain to cook. The hardest part was keeping the oil at 325. It makes me want to get one of those Fry Daddy things, but we shall see. Anyway, if you make this recipe, let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye. You want more?
Yeah.
Here, you want some, Mommy?